My last analysis on this game came last month. I promised myself I would make a return to the game a month later on the Giga Effect. Now I have, but that was primarily with the expectations that the game would have 60 FPS. By the way, it very much so did not have 60 FPS. The game did get some updates since the last 2 months, but primarily with textures and some helps for the crashings that were happening. But with the FPS problem, they mainly didn't change a single bit of a thing, besides more of a consistent FPS. So instead of the FPS changing from 60 to 20, it would be more like 60 to 40 or 30. I initially rated the game a 6 out of 10. These points came fundamentally from the combat and story mixed in with the possible potential. Although the game definitely does play better, I can confidently say that now, in comparison to the release, it sure as hell did not get that crisp 60 FPS, 60 FPS,
Boy, if you don't get
60 FPS that I know every console player wanted as much as I did. I'm going to try to be very critical in this video as I know a lot of people still haven't got this game, and I want this video to serve as a should you get this game video. Well, to answer that, you first have to ask yourself, what kind of video game are you looking for? Are you looking for a Star Wars game, meaning action, lore, or story? Or are you looking for a Red Dead story level type of game? Well, in defense to the first, it definitely does make you feel like a powerful Jedi more than any Star Wars game. And since I actually finished this game since my last video, I can tell you guys there are some real fun boss fights alongside with side content and a pretty good story. Although I would never in a million years compare it to a Red Dead or Last of Us story, it has just enough spunk to its story that it's definitely good and not bad. The combat is some of the best combat I've ever seen in terms of lightsaber combat, and of course there's not a lot to compare it to, seeing as the last true story mode Star Wars game ended when I was 7 years old, and had literally just gotten out of the crib a couple of years prior to that age. Either way, the combat is definitely the closest we ever got to that powerful Jedi combat since Starkiller. I would 100% recommend the game right now, and it's worth the price in my opinion in its current state. The game gets a very good rating for me at an 8.9 out of 10. I know a lot of you guys would probably disagree, but to me there's not much to hate on the game with. I can see that there are some problems with the game. I'm not a delusional person. I mainly would depict that in the realm of FPS drops and some bad texture effects, alongside with even there being some kind of shadowing or grain, even though you turned off all the film grain and motion blur, and there's still a decent amount of grain. But this problem was apparent in Resident Evil 4 when you turn off motion blur. You literally just have this blue aglow light just standing below your screen, and it's the most irritating thing ever. So this problem does exist in other games, although albeit definitely in different circumstances and not nearly as bad, but it's still a conundrum in another game, and a problem, to say the least. But then again, since I did finish the game now, I am going to talk about some parts of the story that does irritate me a bit. Not really spoilers, but some things that I completely, utterly disagree with, and then I'm going to bring them up right now. So, first thing first, the ending of the game to me just capitalizes on not a real good ending. I feel like there should have been a really good ending. I feel like there should have been an ending where either Cal Kestis does something extremely and utterly significant, which, in my opinion, he does not do anything extremely and utterly significant. He just more or less continues his journey. Which anybody that knows a single thing about me knows that I don't like that in video games. I like there to be a very strong canonical ending to video games, and when there's not, I get a little bit irritated. And Marvel Spider-Man did in fact have that strong canonical ending. That's why it's one of my favorite games of all time. A lot of other games too, like Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead, we literally have to wait 8 years for it to release, and when they do release, well, anybody couldn't be more happy and more welcome to the fact that it took 8 years to release, because in those 8 years, there was nothing but strong dedication, hard work, and a lot of writing, alongside with good producing of editing and content, alongside with the fact that there's probably going to be a lot of DLCs. This game, in my opinion, doesn't capitalize on that and doesn't do it to the greatest level. That's why I said the story was good and not above that line. And I think if you were to put it to any kind of line in terms of story wise, it'd probably be somewhere around the level of the last game, and maybe even the last game being a better story for some people. In my opinion, though, Jedi Survivor did in fact have a better story. By how much times I couldn't tell you, probably not even by one times, but in my opinion, the story was surely better, and I can say that pretty confidently. Of course, there are some problems that hinder it, kind of stupid and dumb. Like, for example, the 60 FPS problem, that's the huge problem. The other game has a problem like this too, except it's kind of At a consistent 60 FPS, it only just drops literally every single fucking 10 seconds. This game doesn't always have that problem, but it's even technically a little bit worse because not only does it not stay at a 60 FPS, it stays at a consistent 40 to 30 FPS alongside with frame drops every like 2 to 3 minutes. So it just isn't the funnest or coolest thing ever to play, and it's not most unpleasant to the eyes. So yeah, guys, that's it for me. An 8.9 out of 10 in my opinion, respectively. I think the game could have 100% done better. I hope the DLC in some kind of way fundamentally breaks something down, and hopefully EA releases the DLC alongside with a 60 FPS patch, and that would really be something quite angelic and gracious. Anyways, guys, that's it. Bye.